You might well ask why I'm sitting here in the studio rather than out running. Well, in episode 4 of the Transgrancanaria Training Series, we're going to discuss injuries. How have I managed to stay relatively injury-free over the years, and why am I injured now? Let's get into it. I began 2025 full of hope and optimism for the training block ahead. Having had a miserable start to 2024 with my marathon training block decimated by illness, I was desperate for 2025 to be better. Unfortunately, despite having had a flu jab, I succumbed last week to an awful annoying cough and cold. I actually began my winter marathon training block at the beginning of December last year, ramping up the mileage slowly and also starting interval sessions on the track on a Monday. What did we do tonight? We did 3 minutes of tempo and then a 30-second sprint times 5. So 3 minutes tempo-ish pace, kind of half marathon, between 10k and half marathon pace, and then a 30-second sprint, no recovery, just straight into the next 3 minutes of tempo. That was quite good. Makes a change from all-out 800-meter reps. With the obligatory rest week over Christmas, I went into January hoping to cover 100 kilometres a week or so, which is kind of standard for me during the early weeks of a training block. You can check out my Strava to see for yourself, but that is the kind of mileage I generally do when I'm training for a goal race. Now, you all know I'm not particularly great with my diet, but when it comes to training for a specific goal race, I do try to improve what I eat. So, in general, no different at the start of 2025 to all the other training blocks that I generally do.
Please disperse! Nothing to see here, please!
One thing that I've always thought I should do though, which might improve my running, is strength and conditioning. I rarely do any core work. My flexibility, my balance and my upper body strength are very poor. So for this training block, I decided to sign up for a body balance class. It's a mixture of Tai Chi, yoga and Pilates, as well as a specific core strength class at my local fitness centre. So again, if you check out my Strava, you'll be able to see that I've been doing those 2 or 3 times a week since the beginning of January. Those of you who have followed the channel for a while will know I have been pretty fortunate with injuries over the past 15 years. I can probably count on one hand the number of significant injuries I've had in that time. Back in 2013, I was out with IT band pain for a couple of months. A couple of years later, I suffered with quite a bad sciatica attack which damaged the muscles down my left leg, and I still have some numbness in my left leg as a result of that. I also suffer from bad cramping at times in my left leg only, which I do attribute to that sciatica attack. In 2020, I wore Nike Vaporflies for the very first time, and I ran far too much on the road in them and caused myself a foot injury, an overuse foot injury. That caused me then to DNF 2 races. I DNF'd the North Downs Way 100 at just 20 miles through the pain I had in my foot, and then a few weeks later I DNF'd my first attempt at the TDS in Chamonix, where I pulled out, or I DNF'd because I was so tired through lack of fitness that I'd lost through not training because of that injury. And then last year I completed the Cape Wrath Ultra up in Scotland, a 400 kilometre race, and towards the end of that event I started suffering from quite bad pain in my right leg. Turned out to be a case of tenosynovitis, which is an inflammation of the tendon sheaths around the shin at the front of my right leg. Completely understandable, of course, seeing as that was the biggest mileage I'd ever done in 1 week. Of course, every runner is likely to get injured at some point during their running career, and I know from messages I've received from you guys how much you have suffered with injuries in the past, and that many of you have been through exactly what I'm going through now. Do let me know in the comments what injuries you've had during your career and how you've got over them and how you've moved forward. So how have I managed to stay relatively injury-free over the last 10 to 15 years? It's 3 things. Consistency is the first one. Getting out there every week and running. Keeping your body and your muscles in tune with the fact that that's what you do. Secondly, it's running on the trails, softer, and the treadmill in fact, softer surfaces that aren't going to cause too much impact. So running on a treadmill and running on trails a lot of the time has helped me stay injury free, as opposed to people who constantly run on tarmac and on the roads. And finally, it's all about running slow. Not too much fast, hard impact running. Nice, easy, relaxed, slow running. Part of my 80-20 routine. 80% of my week is spent running slowly and easily and comfortably, reducing the risk of injury. So back to 2025, and in early January, really right at the beginning of the year, I started to feel a little niggle in the back of my right foot around the Achilles. Now, like every good runner, I completely ignored it. I pretended it wasn't there and I hoped it would go away. Problem is, it had the audacity to actually get worse. The thing about it was, though, although it was getting worse, I could run because it would start off being very painful and I would run for 5 minutes or so, and then it would suddenly start to ease up and the tendons stretched out and the muscles warmed, and it was okay and I could end the run quite comfortably. This was particularly evident at the Sussex Masters cross country event, which I did on January the 18th. 35 minutes, 4 minutes quicker than last year. I am so pleased with that, especially seeing as I do have a little bit of a niggle in my Achilles heel. My warm-up and the first kilometre or so of the race were really quite painful, so much so that I nearly quit the race. I nearly said, do you know what, this is too painful, I'm not going to do it. But I carried on, and actually it did ease off, and I finished the run strong, running fast with minimal pain. Buoyed with confidence, I decided to take myself on a 40-kilometre long run across the Downs. It was sore at first, but again, it eased after a little while. So then off we went to Cornwall, where I was working at the Arc of Attrition, and in my downtime I took myself out for a 20k run along the southwest coast path, and as usual I thought, well, it's hurting but it'll ease off. The problem is, this time it didn't ease off. It got worse and worse, so much so that I had to stop and walk on numerous occasions during that run. It was at that point I knew I wasn't going to get away with this any longer, and I took the decision to stop running altogether and rest. Injuries are very, very simple. It's just time and rest. There's no getting away from it. Before you do anything else, like physio, like medication, like strapping, it's rest and it's time. With 99% of injuries, the body will heal itself if it's just given time and if you continue to rest and eat and sleep and drink. Of course, you can speed up your recovery to some degree by using appropriate manipulation or pain relief or other medication like anti-inflammatories or steroids, ice, heat, strapping, exercise. But in general, there are no quick fixes, and the only thing that will truly make you better is time and rest. In my experience, you can even make things worse by overcomplicating the issue, introducing too many manipulations and treatments and medications. I did try the Graston technique on this injury, and that possibly helped a little bit, but in general I've just left it to time and rest. I did buy a TENS machine which promised to reduce pain, a handheld TENS machine. I don't think it did anything for me at all, and in fact it left marks on my leg where I had to press in for the electrical current to get into my leg. I've sent it back for a refund.
Your TENS machine is a piece of crap. Have the money by tomorrow and there won't be any problems.
Huh?
Yeah, 24 hours.
Why? What happens in 24 hours?
I don't know. Not psychic, man.
So where did this particular injury come from? Well, my wife thinks I've ramped up my mileage too quickly after Christmas. Another friend of mine thinks I'm running too much on the road now because at the moment I'm doing less treadmill running. The only thing I can attribute it to is the only thing that I've done different in this training block, and that is the body balance classes and learning new yoga and Pilates techniques that I've never done before. In body balance, you have to stand on one leg quite a lot, and I've been learning the Warrior 3 pose and the tree pose. Great for strengthening your ankles and your feet, but when your muscles and your tendons are not used to being put under that strain, you need to take extra care. And I think at the beginning, I probably didn't take enough care. Let me know in the comments if you do yoga or Pilates or Tai Chi and if you've had any injuries as a result. That said, it's now been 3 weeks since I stopped running, and I think things might be starting to improve. I managed a comfortable park run on Saturday, and I am planning on going out for another run this week. I think I've made the decision that I am going to start the Transgrancanaria race in a couple of weeks. See how far I can get, but I won't be anything like as fit as I was hoping to be. And after that, well, let's see if we can get marathon training back on track, because I do have Manchester Marathon at the end of April. A big thank you, by the way, to the sponsors of this video, Flying Burrito, whose shirts I've been wearing throughout the series. I am really looking forward to pulling on the yellow shirt and stepping out into the baking heat in Gran Canaria. If you would like a Flying Burrito shirt, there is a link in the description with a discount code for you to get one of your own. And if you would like a bespoke Film My Run branded Flying Burrito shirt, then please do email Flying Burrito and ask them if that will be possible. Thank you so much to all my channel members for continuing to support the channel and its work. If you'd like to join, it is only £1 to do so. Other than that, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do that now. Share this video with your friends and click here if you'd like to watch episode 3 of the Transgrancanaria Training Series. Thank you so much for watching, take care, and I'll see you on the start line next time.